experienced as a particular personality.
And it is so far understood that the collective animates the big picture. But how big is my impact on the collective manifestation in physical reality? How quickly can I change the big picture for myself?
You're changing the big picture as an individual all the time. Whether you are aware of the changes or not, or the impact or not, is a different issue. But you have all the impact on the collective that you can possibly have. By acting on your passion, it may reveal the impact that you have, but it doesn't create more impact on the total whole. You already have a complete and total impact on the whole just by being part of it. So any change you make changes the whole, although the degree to which you experience the change may be different, may seem small, may seem big, depending upon what acting on your passion does. But it always impacts the whole, no matter to what degree. It makes a difference.
Now, this person is saying that they witnessed someone speaking on stage and heard 8 simultaneous versions speaking at the same time. Time was standing still, so I could perceive several at once. Then I chose the one that was my highest excitement. Are we all broadcasting like this all the time on multiple channels? And is that another way to talk about parallel realities?
Absolutely. What you have simply done by expanding your consciousness is increased your sensitivity to pick up on more channels all at the same time. So the idea is that this is potentially a common symptom for those who are continuing to accelerate, continuing to upgrade their vibrational frequency, and allow their senses to span multiple parallel realities simultaneously, to download information more simultaneously when your senses can handle it, when you can process it by expanding your consciousness. You might call it a mini oversoul point of view, but this is going to become more and more common. This is how we experience reality in my civilization, which is why it is like walking through a dream of multiple dimensions simultaneously. We see many multiple probabilities all at once and can more easily recognize the path that is truly ours. So we simply give you congratulations on expanding your consciousness to the point where you're experiencing the broadcast of multiple realities simultaneously that everyone is already doing, but most people are simply not aware that they're doing.
And once we decide to shift from our current reality to another more aligned with our desires, how will individuals from our previous reality perceive our change or absence? Will they notice a shift, or will their memories and perceptions adapt to a new narrative?
They might, because remember, they're your projections and reflections of the change you've made within yourself anyway. Some of them might entirely disappear from your life if they simply have no purpose in experiencing the change. Some of them might recognize the change within you and say, oh, you're different today. I'm not exactly sure why. And some of them will relate to you completely as the idea of new people as a reflection of the new change you have made within yourself. It can be a range of things.
And can you tell us how we can tap into another parallel version of ourselves? For example, to download information or knowledge about a subject, how can we consciously experience that download?
You can allow your imagination to be your guide in telling yourself a story of that particular persona that is engaged in the subject matter you find interesting. Allow yourself the free rein to see what the story of that individual would be like in all aspects of that individual's life, and mirror it as best as you possibly can, taking actions on the opportunity that synchronicity provides to match the idea of the behaviors and actions and feelings and thoughts of the individual you imagine in your story is living that kind of a life, and mirroring it as best as you possibly can. If it's not relevant for you, synchronicity will turn you around from it. If it is relevant, then you'll become, in a sense, more like that individual and experience the download of information that is relevant for the individual that you are mirroring.
And for those of us who have faced prolonged health challenges, how can we consciously tap into and align with a parallel reality where our physical health is at its optimum? Are there specific practices or mindset shifts that can assist with this transition?
Yes, by asking yourself, what is the lesson you're learning or what are you experiencing you otherwise would not have experienced by not having the health issue? By learning the lesson of why the health issue is there, you may be able to shift yourself to a parallel reality where it's no longer necessary, or perhaps more precisely, never has been necessary for that version of yourself to experience that health issue because it's not necessary for you to experience that lesson as the new individual in the new reality. But the first thing to do is to let yourself learn the lesson of why you are experiencing what you're experiencing. Again, it's not about avoidance. It's not about running away from it. It's about accepting that that's what's happening in your reality and asking yourself to be clear about what you would not be learning that you are learning if you hadn't had the health issue. How is it serving you? What are you learning from it? Accepting that will allow you more opportunity to shift it, but you have to understand why it's there.
In understanding of our biological aging process, telomeres are often viewed as indicators of the length and cellular health. How accurate is this understanding within the context of parallel realities? And can we shift into a reality where our telomeres are longer, healthier, and more robust?
Yes, and in fact, many of your scientists are studying this very idea now by studying certain species of bats whose telomeres never change. In other words, they never appear to age. A 1-year-old bat looks the same as a 15-year-old bat because their telomeres never change. So you are studying the idea of telomeres from a scientific point of view, but you can also understand, again, the idea of relevance in this. The telomeres will not change if you shift through a series of parallel realities where you are living more and more and more truly in the moment, because living in the moment creates the experience of less time and allows you to see yourself as age less. So it's about living in the moment in a certain way, and it is about that idea as to why the bat's telomeres never change. They are experiencing time in a very different way than you are. So the idea is to live more in the moment and find out that the result of that will be that your telomeres will stay longer because you're not really aging, because you're not experiencing as much time, because you're living in the timeless now.
And on the subject of bats, can you give us a little information about them as a spirit animal and also why they are so prevalent in terms of some of our health issues, at the present time?
Again, they form a kind of dichotomy symbol. The idea of being the only mammal that can fly is an expression of the potential in a positive way of how you can uplift yourselves and evolve yourselves in a way that makes you unique, to accelerate your vibration and ascend to greater heights. At the same time, they form the polarity of the idea of being ill at ease with yourselves, ill at ease with your true beings, not willing to live in the moment, but experiencing the concepts of anchoring into time and focusing on too many details that bring your vibration down. Things like lack of worthiness, regrets, self-judgments, which create the dark persona of the bat, symbolizing the idea of what you call evil, which is simply an anagram of live. So the idea is they perform the function, the symbolic function of the polarity of your potential to soar to great heights, or to also be representative of deep, deep darkness and the idea of attachment to negativity in life.
Explanation of how you can understand that there are such things as parallel realities. You understand that your scientists have been seeking what they call a unified theory for quite some time. The basic idea being to reduce everything down so that you understand how every phenomenon is the product and extension of a single fundamental principle, uniting everything, connecting everything, explaining everything. Well, this would have to be true not only for what they consider to be the forces of the universe, but for space-time itself, that which is the fundamental underpinning of the idea of reality as you understand it. So not only must the idea of gravity and the atomic forces and electromagnetism all be reduced to an understanding of extensions of a fundamental principle, but space itself and time itself must also be reduced. The idea of the ultimate reduction of space would be as a single dimensionless point. We can call that single dimensionless point here. The idea of the reduction of time would be a single timeless moment. We can call that single timeless moment now. So we have the idea of a here and a now, and everything being here and now. Everything being an expression, every single experience of a different place, a different location, the idea of volumetric space, the very idea of different moments in time, past, present, future, all being extensions and products of the idea of that dimensionless point and that timeless moment. And if there is truly only a dimensionless point and a single timeless moment, the here, the now of everything, and yet you are capable of experiencing what appears to be, what feels like different places at different times, movement, change over time, moving around to different places, locations within the idea of space. You can experience that, but they must all be the product of the same dimensionless point and timeless moment, experienced in different ways, from different angles, different points of view, so to speak, different perspectives. It's the same dimensionless point. It's the same timeless moment, looked at in different ways, experienced in different ways. And thus the very notion of space-time, the very fact that you are experiencing what appear to be multiple places and multiple times, in itself is actually proof of parallel realities. Because if everything is really one, everything is really here, and everything is really now, then the experience of multiple places and times are all happening at once. And thus every single moment, what you call seconds, minutes, nanoseconds, what have you, different locations, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, these all have to be happening at the same time in the same place, basically, fundamentally. And therefore, every single tick of the clock is actually an experience of a different parallel reality. Every single movement, no matter how small, is actually the experience of a different parallel reality, all existing simultaneously with every other moment, every other place. So parallel realities really are the fundamental underlying reality that you do experience. You may think of your life as happening in a single timeline, but that single timeline is actually thus composed of many different perspectives, many different movements and experiences of time, changing, movement through space, and therefore your entire timeline is actually constructed of an infinite number of parallel realities. Well, all right, finite within what you might call one lifetime, as you experience time to exist, but infinite in the varieties that exist to create all the different parallel timelines, all the different choices one may make, all the different choices one may experience in creating themes to explore as a physical being. So yes, finite to a certain degree that is relevant for whatever theme you are exploring as a physical being, as a physical consciousness, from a physical point of view, but infinite in the vast number of parallel timelines there can be, being experienced by an infinite number of versions of what you consider yourself to be. Now, of course, all those other versions are not you as a person. They are their own people, but you cross-connect to them, as we have explained, through energy, downloading information and experience from all these different parallel versions of your greater being, experiencing all these multiple incarnations simultaneously in parallel timelines. But again, remember, each parallel timeline, each timeline that seems like a single timeline is still going to be composed of different frames, you could say, that are grabbed from a variety of parallel realities in order to create the single timeline that you believe your life represents. So you're really cross-connecting in a constantly changing dynamic pattern of downloading information and experience from any number of parallel versions of yourselves, where and when it is relevant for you to do so, in order to enhance and inform the timeline that you are constructing constantly, moment by moment by moment, into what appears to be a single timeline that is actually the product of a multitude of timelines and a multitude of parallel reality experiences being had by all the different simultaneous incarnations that your oversoul is experiencing all at once. This is why you have such a wide variety of choices available to you, even though some of them may seem limited to the themes and the relevance of those themes that you are exploring. Nevertheless, this is why you can experience the destiny you have created for yourself in so many different ways. Why you can, as I say, go down that hallway, because that hallway is you. You cannot do anything other than the way you, this person, would do it. But you can do it in any number of ways that this person would choose to do it. You can walk, you can run, you can be happy, you can be sad, you can be contemplative, you can be angry, you can do it by going slowly, you can do it by jumping up and down, you can be excited, you can be calm, you can look in every doorway down the hall, you can ignore them all, you can go backwards, forwards. It's up to you how to utilize the dynamic connections that you are calling upon and connecting to from a myriad of parallel reality frames that are all existing at the same time. But you do this in a way where you have a certain kind of energy pattern to it. If you have, from time to time, seen things like moire patterns or mandalas, this is really the meaning of a mandala. The mandala is an expression of the kinds of energy patterns your consciousness is using to tap into different parallel realities, which is why mandalas, as a permission slip, sometimes can connect you to the multidimensional awareness that they do, because the mandalas and patterns similar to mandalas, different kinds of geometric forms of that nature, especially multidimensional ones like Merkabas and so on and so forth, are actually representative of the kind of energy patterns your consciousness is forming to tap into these different parallel realities and link to them and draw information down those lines, those mandala lines, crisscrossing here and there. This is why many of these ideas of focusing on mandalas can help expand your awareness of the multidimensional existence that you have, what you're tapping into on physical, non-physical, multidimensional levels through time and space, beyond time and space. So using mandalas that way to tap into different parallel realities as a permission slip can be very powerful in your meditations, to allow you to start cross-connecting and be a little bit more aware and realize a little bit more of what realities you are tapping into, what versions of yourselves, what counterparts of yourselves, what other incarnations, perhaps even not only on Earth, but in other civilizations you are drawing from in parallel lifetimes, in order to inform this lifetime, even as all those other lives may be drawing upon your experiences to inform their experiences in their lifetimes, in their timelines, also constructed of a myriad of parallel reality moments. So it's quite a dynamically complex pattern of energy, of consciousness, expressing itself in these geometric patterns of vibrational awareness that create the unique you that you are. No mandala is the same as any other mandala. Even if it's off by a fraction of an inch, it's still very different. It's creating a new pattern to draw down on new information. And I remind you that you're constantly dynamically plugging and unplugging in from these things. The idea of connecting to what you read as past life memories, future life memories, so on and so forth, is constantly shifting and changing to service whatever it is you have determined are the themes you're exploring as this particular personality. But you are constantly drawing upon a multitude of interdimensional experiences in parallel reality timelines to inform who you are here and now, which is why you have such a great degree of flexibility of changing who you are, because every moment is new. You can unplug from everything and replug into many different things and define who you are in this moment, who it is you prefer to be, who is the idealized expression of yourself in this particular personality construct as this version of the greater being that you are. Thus approaching more understanding and awareness of this greater being that you are, the oversoul of oversouls, and connecting to source in a way that allows you to know that while you are, yes, an individualized reflection of all that is, you are also simultaneously all that is experiencing itself as a reflection, as an aspect, as a piece of itself. So it's both. You are the one and you are the all. Simultaneously, and this understanding of the mandala connection and the vibrational patterns that you use in your consciousness to connect and draw down information and experience from the multitude of parallel realities from which you construct each of your timelines can help you feel more expanded, can allow you to begin to experience more synchronicity in a multidimensional way in your lifetimes, can give you more of an expanded feeling of operating from the higher mind level of non-physical reality and the oversoul level beyond that, can expand your vision, your awareness, your sensitivity to seeing things that were heretofore invisible to you, because you're now going to include more ideas from different parallel reality dimensions into your awareness, now going through this shift into the awakening, where you can proceed to raise your vibration to the point where more things from the spirit world and more things from multidimensional realities can be perceived by you, so that you can expand and enrich your experience of reality, knowing that your experience of reality is actually the result of many different choices from many different realities that are all going to be relevant for your expansion into more self-awareness of what you are and who you are as an aspect of all that is. So, later on, we will experience a meditation to help you guide yourself in this way by using the idea of mandalas, using the idea of the patterns and vibrations of energies, and will help you by utilizing this permission slip to really begin to get more sensitized to being able to perceive things that have been around you all the time, multidimensionally, but which were heretofore invisible to you, which can now become part of your world. So we thank you for allowing us to share this information of parallel realities and you and how you use them, so you can have more awareness, more conscious awareness of how to use them to your advantage, to enrich your experience, to have a fuller life of joy, a fuller life of creativity, of imagination and intuition and perception. And in return for the gift you have given us in allowing us to share this idea with you, I ask now in return, how may we continue to be of service to you? Please begin with your dialogues and your questions if you wish.